Hello and welcome to the farm. My name is Alicia and I'm so glad you're joining me today here in my 1902 farmhouse in my craft room, where we're going to get together for the next 63 weeks to work on these beautiful sampler Afghan squares to complete our heirloom Afghan. So grab your supplies and let's get started. To start square one of our Afghan, we're going to be using a size H crochet hook. This is a 5.00 millimeter hook. We're going to use this for every square in our Afghan. So make sure you have this handy. Get yourself an extra because you always seem to lose one. And then for our yarn, we're going to be using color B. I have a materials list. I'll put an iCard up for the materials list so you'll know how many ounces to get or how many yards to get of each color for your Afghan. This is a great stash buster. If you just want to make up different colors as you go, you're welcome to do that as well. We're going to start with a slip knot here. Now I also have another tutorial that shows you how to do some of the basics, creating your slip knot, how to hold your hook, how to hold your yarn so that you have the proper tension while you're doing your crochet. I will put an iCard, and in the description box I'll put a link to that video so you have that as well. So for our very first block number 1, the single crochet, we're going to chain 26 loosely. We're going to wrap our yarn around our hook from behind towards us, and we're going to take that yarn and pull it through the loop that's already on our hook. That creates a chain. So that's 1. Wrapping the yarn around our hook, pulling through the loop that's already on our hook, that's 2. Wrapping the yarn around our hook, pulling that loop through the loop that's already on our hook, that's 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's our first 10 chains. I'm going to meet up with you when we get to 26. So I'll see you in a moment. 24, 25, and 26. So here we have our chain of 26 for block 1. Hey, are you enjoying putting together all of the beautiful heirloom sampler blocks for our heirloom Afghan crochet along? If so, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, check out the playlist that has all of the videos for every block for our crochet along, and be sure to share the video with your friends that like to crochet. Okay, let's get back to our project for this week. We're going to move on now to row 1. We are going to work single crochet stitches in every chain across. In fact, our entire block will be made with single crochet stitches. How we're going to start row 1 is we are going to place a single crochet in the second chain from our hook and in every chain across. Let's take a look at that. We have this loop on our hook. This does not count as a chain. So this is our first chain, this little V here, and then the second little V is the second chain. So first chain, second chain. We're going to place our hook right into that V and grab our yarn, so yarn over and pull our yarn back through so that we have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to place the yarn over and draw that loop all the way through the 2 loops that were on our hook till they fall off. That completes a single crochet. Let's do that again in the very next chain, which is right here. We're going to look for our next little V here, placing our hook in there, wrapping our yarn around our hook, and then pulling it back through. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to wrap our yarn around our hook, and we're going to pull our hook through these loops that are already on here, pulling that yarn through both loops until they fall off the hook. That's our next single crochet. That's 2. Going to our next chain right here, placing our hook in the chain, wrapping our yarn over, pulling it through that stitch, through that chain. We've got 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. We're going to do this just a couple more times together, and then I'm going to work on and meet with you up here at the end of the row here. But let's do this 2 more times, okay? We're going to our very next stitch where our V is, placing our hook in, wrapping our yarn around, and pulling it back through that chain. We have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook. One more time. Into the next chain, yarn over and pull our yarn through. We have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook. Let's take a look here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet worked. When we get to the very end of our row, we're going to want to have 25 single crochet. So we already have 5. And how you can tell how many you have is you can count the little V's on top now. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you can see where we've placed the little stitches here in our chain. So that's how you can count them. So I'm going to continue working on down our chain, and I'll meet up with you when I'm getting ready to put in number 25. 24 right here. And in our very last chain, 25. So let's take a look at row 1. I'm going to take my hook out here so we can lay our work flat. So here's the beginning of our first square. This is row 1. We just have a really nice long row of single crochets. Very, very pretty. Let's move on to row 2. Placing your hook back on here, we're going to chain 1. So again, we're just going to wrap our yarn over and pull it through the loop that's already on our hook. That is the chain. And now you're going to turn your work. Turn it in the direction towards your hand there. We've turned our work, and we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch across. We have 25 stitches across. We're going to make 25 more single crochets. Right here, this is our first stitch from the last row. We're going to place our hook into this stitch to complete a single crochet. Don't put it in your chain. Your chain is over here that you made. You don't want the chain. We want the actual stitch that we did. So we're going to take our hook and we're going to place it in that stitch. And let's speak about how we're going to do that. When you put it through, you're going to capture the entire V. This is called the front loop and the back loop. Okay, so you want to make sure that you pick up both the front loop and the back loop when you do your work. So we've put our hook through the front loop and the back loop of our stitch. We're going to wrap the yarn around and pull that yarn back through so that we have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops on our hook. Let's do that in the next one. Here's our next stitch right here. Yarn over and pull through both loops on our hook. Moving on to the next stitch, we're going to place our hook through the stitch, making sure we have both the front loop and the back loop on there. We're going to yarn over and grab our yarn and pull it through. Yarn over and pull through both loops on our hook. Moving on to our next stitch right here, placing our hook in, making sure we get both the front loop and the back loop. Grabbing our yarn and pulling it back through. Yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook. We're going to speed up a little bit here. Entering that stitch, getting the front loop and the back loop. Yarn over and pull our yarn through. Yarn over, pull through 2. Entering the stitch, making sure we have both the front loop and the back loop. Yarn over, pull our yarn through, yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook. And I just want you to work on this as you work across your block. Enter the stitch, yarn over, pull your yarn through, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. And just continue this same stitch until we get to the end of our row, and I'll meet up with you right here. We're coming up to the end of our row. We're working on row 2, so we're coming up to the end of row 1. We have 2 stitches left here. See the 2 V's there? We have 2 more stitches to go, so we're going to place our hook into that stitch and complete a single crochet. And then in our very last stitch here, sometimes it's a little tricky to get your hook in there. You want to make sure you get both the front loop and the back loop, your little V there. Grab your yarn and pull it through and complete your single crochet. All right, so here we have row 2. Nice, neat, even stitches. If you find that some stitches don't look nice and neat to you, you can pull them out and start from any point along here and then continue on. So remember that once you get started, it's okay to stop, look at your work, and you can pull some of the yarn out and go back here a little bit and then start over. So in order to work the rest of your block for this block 1 single crochet, we're just going to repeat that last row over and over again until our block is approximately 7 inches square. So remember, row 2 is chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch across. Don't forget this first stitch. In this pattern for this block, we want to make sure we always put a stitch in the very first stitch. So here we go, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to do this all the way across the row, and I'm going to meet up with you after I get a few more rows done, and we'll see how our block is shaping up. So I'll meet up with you when we've got a little bit more done here, but just keep working row 2 over and over again, always making sure that you have 25 stitches in each row. We'll meet back up in a moment. 23, 24, and 25. Let's take a look at our block now. Now, if you've gotten to this point in your block and you're noticing that your square is starting to go in a little bit on either one side or both sides, you need to go back and count how many single crochet you're putting in. It may be that you've missed the first one on this side, or maybe you missed the last one on this side. So if you see that your block is looking a little tapered in almost to a triangle, you need to go back and count. What if your block is tapering out this way? It might be that you've put in 1 too many stitches and now your block is growing unevenly. So I like to kind of count my stitches as I go, and I know when I get to the end here, I'm at 25. I'm going to go ahead and work the rest of the rows until we have a nice 7-inch square, and I'll meet up with you there. 23, 24, and 25. Now I've got several rows worked here on our block 1, the single crochet, and I think I'm getting pretty close to that 7-inch square that we're looking for. I don't have my measuring tape here with me, and I'm not sure if this is completely a true square. So let me show you a way to figure that out. Remove your hook. You're going to take one corner and bring it down to the catty corner edge here, and make sure that your work lines up along the sides here. Okay, and then just see where you're at on your work. You see we have just a little bit more here. I think if we do one more row, these corners will match up perfectly, and then we'll know that our block is 100% square. So I'm going to go ahead and get this back on my hook. Let's put in one more row together here, and then we'll check it to see if it's square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Now let's see if our block measures up, and we're going to fold it over here and do the triangle test on it. And just like that, it matches up all the way around, so we are pretty darn square here. Now we're ready for our edging. Now all of your blocks will have the same edging pattern. It will be worked in the round, so it will go around once in the color that your block is. So don't cut your yarn once you've reached your 7 inches square. Don't cut your yarn because you're going to work round one of your edging. I'll put an iCard here, and I'll also put a link in the description box below where you can find the tutorial for the edging. So like I said, round 1 will be done in the color of your block. Round 2 will be done in color A, whatever you've designated as color A. Now, even though I don't want you to finish your block off yet, when you do finish off, I want to show you the way that I have found that is the best way to finish off any work that you do. Most tutorials will have you just chain 1, cut your yarn, and pull your yarn through. I like to chain 2. So chain 2, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I'll do my border in a little bit, my edging. Give yourself a nice long tail and cut that yarn. Pull your yarn through, and you're left here with this long chain 2 tail. I want you to take your fingernails on your thumb here and just press it into your index finger. Grab this tail and give it a nice firm pull. That is going to cinch up a really tight knot up against the edge of your work. That's not going anywhere. That will not come undone. You don't have to worry about your work coming undone when you use that knot. So once you have your round 1 of border done, go ahead and finish off. Attach your second color and complete round 2 of your border, and then there's only one thing left to do. You can get yourself these little tags at any big box store. You can get them at the dollar store, or you can order them online. You're going to want to write the information about your block. So this is week 1. And this is the single crochet block. And we completed this in color B. And then just go ahead and attach this anywhere on your block. And store your block away until you're ready to put everything together for your Afghan. And that's it. So thank you so much for joining me for week 1 of our Heirloom Afghan crochet along. I think you're really going to enjoy this. Come back next week when we will work on block 2, the half double crochet. Until I see you again here on the farm, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.